I'll start by telling you I'm incredibly anxious to be here in front of everyone, big stadium and everything. But the purpose that drives me since I've gotten involved in this war on melanoma, truly a war, overcomes that anxiety / fear / petrification. So here I am. So we're all on this journey together, and thank you for being here. As Nancy said, my name is Shon Ramey. I'm a patient advocate at OHSU, also a member of Soul Survivor, another group that assists OHSU and Symposium dermatology group on patient-directed initiatives, which this is a big one, the biggest one by far that we've ever been involved with. Some of my stats: 58 years old, obviously white, hopefully obviously male, 6-time cancer survivor. I had cancer twice, squamous cell carcinoma. I went through chemo and radiation. For those, it was at base of tongue, so I don't talk like I used to, but that's all right, we'll get through this. And then melanoma 4 times, with my last round being 5 years ago, which is brilliant. I noticed the chart on the previous speaker. I am finally on my annual scans this year, which is brilliant, with that one being stage 4. So I've done the whole fear path in a big way. I can tell you as a patient, and for them, I don't know what mix we have in the crowd of patients, interested individuals, and medical professionals. So I'll come at it from because I don't have the ladder, I assure you. I will come at it from the patient perspective, and went through that fear cycle 4 full times, and you get to relive that, especially when I got to my 6-month scan cycles off of my 3-month, because there you didn't have enough time in between to not think about it. On the 6th month, it got to a point where, because my 4 melanomas were all pretty evenly spaced, about 18 months apart. I don't know why, but we would get where we would go in the scan. When I say we, my wife and I are very much on this journey together, would go in and, on the build up to that scan coming up, used to be PET scans, then went to CT scans, pelvis and chest and pelvis. Probably a good 2-week ramp up. At some point in that time, one of us would say to the other one, because the tension in the house would build and it really didn't have a name until one of us remembered, oh, wow, your scans are coming up, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, they are, so you do that. He's not here, and I actually got to see him on the way out. I have to give a huge shout out to Dr. Veda. And Dr. Matt Taylor. Dr. Taylor was my medical oncologist here, and Dr. Vedder, my surgical oncologist. And I tell him every time I see him, and I think he gets very tired of it, and I got to see his wife at a Christmas event and embarrass him horribly in front of her that to talk to her. He doesn't take compliments very well, quite frankly. You should try to compliment him just to make him a little uncomfortable. I love the fact that OHSU is amazing, and I am an unfortunate, prolific consumer of medical services. To have my scans here and then see Dr. Veda right after. And the first thing he does when he walks in the room is, your scans are clean, and then we'll start talking about anything else we need to talk about, so I don't have to worry about the build-up, which is brilliant, and I tell him that every time, and I'm sure he does it with every patient. I'm not unique in that regard. Out of all of this whole journey, I think the one thing I'm left with, if I had to pin or name an emotion and a word, would be hope. Along my journey, I believe my 2nd diagnosis, they were just coming out with a new melanoma drug. that it was so new, they hadn't even packaged it yet, and they hadn't figured out how to price it. So had I been diagnosed, and that was, I think, at that point in stage 2, I would have had no therapy, no drug, no response for what I was dealing with. And then on my stage 4, them coming out with the IPI drugs, now that was within 12 months of that dual treatment having come out and been approved by the FDA. I'm grateful, and I didn't know what it meant because I didn't want to be a mutant in any way, shape, or form, but how wonderful it was to actually be one of that population that does have the BRAF mutation. So I was a perfect candidate for that. And here I stand 5 years later, very, very hopeful. Should all of your efforts, whoever you are in the cycle of cancer research, cancer treatment, patient treatment, that as new things come up, you will have the skill set and hopefully the funding to be able to pursue those. My biggest role now with OHSU, I've taken my fear, and I promise you it went to anger, not personally, quite frankly, but more about when I read about the statistics of melanoma deaths, 7,200 this year, and estimated by the Cancer Society, are going to succumb to melanoma, and 96,000 in the U.S. alone going to be diagnosed, they think, this year. Crazy numbers. And every time I hear somebody dying of any cancer, melanoma or not, it makes me very angry. And rather than stay in that, and what I'm here doing, and what I'm championing, and what I'm going to be doing loudly as I move forward, is the informational campaign that, one of the t-shirts right there, that Start Seeing Melanoma. And going to be amassing an army, and it truly is, and I do consider this a war on melanoma, amassing an army on all of us in our individual spheres of influence, and we have them, and we have more than we realize we have in our gyms, at work, in church, book clubs, whatever social circle, and now with all the social media applications, to increase the literacy around melanoma, reduce the cost around melanoma, and for goodness sake, drive down the death rate surrounding around melanoma. So that is my sole focus now, and I love it to be able to have a purpose bigger than me. Not that I ever personalize this, but it's global for me and personal very much all at the same time. So thank all of you for whatever you do, why you're here today, and I encourage you to get very, very active. I know if you're in the community already, you may be, but there may be parts of your spheres of influence, and then energizing and engaging and motivating folks out in that circle to do the same as those circles grow out, especially across Oregon, and see what we can do in the next 5 years on driving down the mortality rate. So that's my focus, and that's why I'm here. So again, thank all of you, and happy to answer any questions from a patient perspective. You don't want to hear from anything else from me, I promise you.
Are you going to be able to sit on the panel?
Yes, ma'am.